Greetings, welcome to the Beauty of Circuit series. I am Behzad Razavi. Let's talk about radars. Some decades ago, radars were specialized equipment that were used only in defense industry and also in aeronautics. For example, the control towers of airports had radars and still do to detect when airplanes arrive and depart and so on. But today, of course, we have radars everywhere. For example, we have radars in vehicles to detect obstacles nearby, make sure that the distance between one vehicle and another obstacle or another vehicle is not too little, and so on. Radars are also used, for example, in self-driving cars to make sure that they can detect their surrounding. So we want to see how a radar operates and what kind of circuits we use inside the radar. Okay, well, let's go and take a look. Here's a simple scenario. We have a car at a distance of x1 meters behind a truck, and our objective is to measure this distance. So how do we measure distance? Well, what we know very precisely is the speed of light, c, right? 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. So I can use light or any other electromagnetic wave to measure this distance. So here's what we're going to do. We generate an electromagnetic wave, a radio wave here. The radio wave propagates x1 meters, then is reflected from the truck and comes back and propagates another x1 meters before it comes back to this point. So if I can measure the round trip time, the time that it takes to go there and come back, with that time and with the speed of light, I can figure out x1. So let's build a little system that can do this. So here's our system. We're going to take a transmitter that generates a radio wave. This radio wave propagates, for example, from here towards the truck, and is shown by this red wave. Then it hits the truck and is reflected. When it's reflected, we call it the blue wave. This blue wave comes back and reaches the receive antenna. Now we can see the round trip delay. The round trip delay, if you call it delta t, I just need to measure delta t. If I have delta t, I can say that the distance is equal to the speed of light times this delta t divided by 2, because delta t includes going to the truck and coming back from the truck. So that seems like a pretty simple system. It allows us to measure x1 pretty accurately. Okay, that's good. So the problem just boils down to one task. How do I measure delta t? How do I measure the delay between the radio wave that went this way and the radio wave that came back? So let's plot these waves as a function of time and see what they look like. So the transmitted wave is this red wave. Let's call it a sine of omega 0 t. Omega 0 is the frequency of that radio wave. For example, these days it could be 77 gigahertz. All right, this goes and is reflected from the truck and comes back. When it comes back, it's delayed by some amount, delta t. How do I express this mathematically? Well, it's similar to the original sine wave, but I have to add a phase, I have to add an angle here to account for this delay. So delta t and theta are related to each other by a simple factor. So if we know theta, we can find delta t. Okay, so now the task is simple. I have this equation, I have this equation, I need to find theta. How do I find theta? All right, so we're going to multiply these two by each other and use a trigonometric identity to see what happens. All right, I have the product of sine of omega 0 t and sine of omega 0 t plus theta. So we can expand that, and we can write that as a cosine and another cosine. The first cosine is the cosine of the difference between these two angles, these two arguments. The difference is only theta, so theta goes here. The second cosine is the sum of these two angles, so that's 2 omega 0 t plus theta. All right, so if we focus on these things, we see that the first term has theta in it only. And because theta and delta t are related, if I focus on this, I can find delta t. The second term is at very high frequencies, at twice the frequency that we had originally. So I can remove this by a filter that attenuates high frequencies. In other words, a low-pass filter can get rid of this one. We only retain this, and from here we can calculate delta t. Okay, so the principle is nice and simple. All right, so let's go ahead and take a closer look here and see what should happen. All right, so here's what we have. We have in the antenna, we have an oscillator. The oscillator generates the sine wave. An oscillator circuit that produces a periodic output. Now, whether this is exactly a sine wave or some other periodic output is not a big deal. We just, for mathematical simplicity, model it by a sine wave. All right, so that's our transmitter. Now, this wave goes and reaches the truck and comes back. So, what shall we do? Well, we take the red waveform that went to the truck, and we take the blue waveform that came back. We call these V1 and V2, and we multiply them as you saw on the previous page. We multiply the red wave by the blue wave. The symbol is a multiplier, sometimes also called a mixer. Now at this output we had cosine of theta, which is what we want. We have to process that to find delta t, but we also had cosine of 2 omega 0 t plus theta, which was a high frequency, and we don't want that. So we put a low-pass filter here to attenuate, to suppress that high frequency component. Now that we have cosine of theta, we can calculate delta t, and we can find the distance between the truck and the car that was behind it. All right, so that's the basic idea here. Now, the question is, how do I multiply V1 and V2? Can I think of a circuit that can multiply two voltages? This is probably something you have not seen in undergraduate electronics, but it is actually readily available. There are different ways of implementing a voltage multiplier. We're going to look at a simple one. All right, for that, let's talk about a MOSFET. We know that a MOSFET operating in saturation generates a current in the drain that has a certain dependence on VGS minus VTH. Ideally is the square law here. Of course, there are some factors here that I'm not showing. We have 1/2 mu n C ox W over L. But the point is that the current generated by the MOSFET is proportional to the square of VGS minus VTH. All right, so hold that thought. What we're going to do is we take this voltage, which is what we transmitted, that sinusoid, and this voltage, which is what's coming back, the shifted sinusoid, and we will add them first. And we apply them to the gate of this MOSFET, to the gate source of the MOSFET. So now our equation reads, we have a current here, and we have V1 plus V2 minus VTH squared. So if we expand this, we get a whole bunch of terms. We get V1 squared, V2 squared, etc. But we also get 2 V1 times V2. And that's the term that's interesting, because we have actually multiplied V1 by V2. So that is the mixture that we had here. This product contains cosine of theta, which we want, and then cosine of 2 omega 0 t plus theta, which we don't want, and is removed by the low-pass filter. So that's a very simple way of building this mixer. In practice, we might choose other topologies, but conceptually, this is what we can do. Isn't that beautiful?